Okay, so now we've got the dial on the movement. Next step is to go ahead and put the hour hand on, which is the first hand you're going to attach to the movement. I can already see I got some dust on the dial. And throughout the process, it's good to use your little blower. Your blower is included in the Esslinger toolkit. You want to use that frequently to just get dust off the dial as you're working with it. That'll help you later when you go to set the dial and movement in the case. Just to show you what's happening here, I'm going to make a rudimentary drawing here of what the hands are resting on. Move this off screen. Take out a sticky note. Your hour hand is resting on the first step. Your minute hand is resting on the second step. And on the final step, that's your second hand. So when you're pushing the hands on, they're just wide enough to fit around the sides of these pinions, around the edges. So you do them in order: hour, minute, then second. Second being the hardest, hour being the easiest. And you got to do them in sequence. You're going to want to get the dial and movement on your movement holder as level as you can make it. Now I'm going to show you another tool in my bag that makes this easier than putting it on the movement holder. Not that the movement holder is impossible. You just spend some time to get it level on the movement holder. But there are other movement holders out there designed specifically for the movement. The 8215 is an 11.5 lean movement, which is lean or ligne, or I may be pronouncing it wrong. Somebody else in the watch community can correct me. Whatever it is, it's a French unit of measurement. Movements are measured in leans. The 8215 is an 11.5 lean movement. So also is the popular 2824 by Etta. So this is an 11.5 lean, and it's marked on that, movement holder by Bergeon. Bergeon, Horotech, those are watch-making tools that are higher end. They're Swiss-made. They cost a lot of money. But if you think you're going to do this often, you might want to invest in one. And you know, this Bergeon movement holder is on Esslinger's website, and it's an 11.5 lean movement holder. So it's got a notch for where the crown and crown stem comes out. On the back, you have a little screw, and that raises or lowers the pin in the center for height, for the depth of your particular movement, because while the movement might have a certain diameter in leans, they might be different thicknesses. So I've already adjusted that. But the movement and dial will fit perfectly in there without having to mess with adjusting your movement holder. This works, they're fine. It's what I started with. But to make this video a little bit more expedient, I'm going to use my Bergeon movement holder. And that's just so I can quickly put it in without having to readjust this every time I take it on and off the movement holder. So you've got the dial and movement on the holder. Including it in your Esslinger toolkit is a bunch of dial protectors, little baggie of them. These are imperative. This is what I didn't use, honestly, when I made my first watch. And the result of that was some scratches around my sub-seconds hand where I was trying to attach it without a movement holder. The pros maybe don't need, not a movement holder, but a dial protector. The pros may not need a dial protector once you've gotten really good at it. I don't know if you can see the marks. I don't think you can on this video. I mean, I'm a little bit anal about things, and I'm sure watchmakers are too. And you really want your dial to look as perfect as it can be, especially if you've opted for one of our custom printed dials. You're certainly not going to want to put a mark in that. So as you attach your hands, it is a best practice to put a dial protector down over the dial. This helps ensure that you're not going to put a scratch as you're working with your tweezers, as you're grabbing the hands and setting them to the dial. So you're going to want to wear optics for this, most definitely. I think for the hour hand, the 2.5 magnification is going to be fine. Once we get to the second hand, you might want to switch out to the 3.5. But I always use the 2.5 for the hour and minute hand because that's a little easier. And as you can see, I've aligned the dial protector to be at 12 o'clock. For the hour hand, it doesn't matter as much right now because we're going to be able to set the hand and then turn the crown to position it to 12 o'clock, and I'll show you why we're doing that later. I have chosen to go with the illumined hands. I thought that would look cool against the black dial. I'm going to grab that out of my Petri dish. And just to reinforce, when you're working with your parts, when you're not working with them, put them back in your Petri dish and cover the part back up. That prevents dust from getting on it. That prevents them from growing legs and running away on you. I'm going to readjust this so I can work. And you can see what I'm doing. When you're working with these hands, these are micro touches, and you're not really grasping that hard. There is a top side and a bottom side to the hands. You can see that by the little bump out in the hand. I'll focus in on right here. Go ahead and grab it right. I want you to be able to see it. It's hard to show and hold at the same time. Let's move this out of the way. So you can see at the bottom of the hand, there's a bump out on this side. That is the bottom of the hand, and that is the side of the hand that faces the dial. It's also easy to tell because one side of the hand is going to be shiny and polished, and the other side of the hand is decidedly not, especially in the case of the loomed hand. But the Dauphine hand and the leaf hands both have a crease on the side that you want to have facing the viewable area of the watch. Or in other words, the side you look at when you're wearing the watch. The crease should be pointing upwards towards you. The stick hands don't have that crease, but you'll notice that the top of the loom hand here's the back, look wildly different. Almost lost it there. So let's get back to setting the hand. So you have your dial protector on your dial. The dial protector is oriented towards the 12 o'clock indice. I'm going to flip that hand over. You're going to go ahead and rest that hand right on top of the pinions. Now I did that without optics actually. You're going to want to put them on. The hour hand isn't that tough in terms of resting it on. But you just want to lightly, and these are micro touches. I am barely touching that hand. You want to get it, and I'm separating my tweezers and kind of touching both edges, pressing down with a little bit of force. You just want to make sure it's on there level. So I've got it on there. It's ready for pressing. I'm going to get in closer so you can see what that looks like. Probably camera's too close here, so I'll get it in and zoom. I now have the hour hand just resting. I mean, it's just sitting there on top of the hour hand pinion. I've just barely rested it on top. So it's ready for pressing. At this point, you want to be very careful not to move really anything here, not move the dial, move the movement holder. You want to leave it in place. And at this point, we can press our hands on. Included in your Esslinger Beginner's Toolkit is the most simple of hand pressers, but it is effective. It has 2 tips. Tips have a hole in them. There's one side with a small hole, one side with a larger hole. You're going to use the side with a larger hole. The purpose of that hole is to give the pinions a place to go when you're pressing down. Otherwise, if this was flat and there wasn't a hole in the middle of it, you would be smashing your second hand pinion and destroying the movement, and your second hand will not function. So when you go to press down the hands, you've got to be very careful that the second hand is going in that hole, or the second hand pinion is going in this hole. I'm going to go ahead and press it. You can watch me as I do it. I have my optics on. I'm going to come out here. So I want you to see how I'm holding my hands as I do this. I'm kind of putting one hand down and the other on top, and that helps steady me. See that? I'm steadying myself directly over the top of the hand. When you put force down, that was a little blurry. Let's take it back out. I want you to really see this. This is important. I'm putting my hand down, resting the other hand on top, and I'm pushing straight down. So we'll go back in and do it. You want to be using your optics. You want to be using the handy light that is on your optics. You want to get as close as you can. Confirm that you're using the larger hole size of the hand presser. You're lining it up and pushing down. As simple as that. I give it a good few presses to be sure that it is secure. Okay, and it is on. Now that it's on, back to a topical view here. Now that the hand is on, you can pull out the crown to the time setting position and see that the hand is turning while you're turning the crown. The other thing you want to verify is the hand on level? The hand could be this is our dial surface. The hand could be on like that. It could be on downward, but what you're really looking for is the hand to be on, and I'm not drawing this level, but perfectly level to the face of the dial, or as close to perfectly level as you can get it. It doesn't be absolutely perfect, but you can tell if the hand were facing upwards, you go to put on your second hand, or your minute hand, they would hit each other as they went across the face of the dial. So I usually turn it sideways and look at it. Take this off so you can see. You can see that hand is level to the dial. That's what we're looking for. And now our hand is set, and you're ready to go ahead and place the minute hand. I'm going to move the hour hand exactly to the 12 o'clock position for setting the minute hand. And that is setting your hour hand.